Hello all, welcome. I hope you've had a good week. Thanks for joining me once again. Appreciate it. What am I talking about this week? Well, we're going to be looking at off the kit stuff still. And this is something that I've touched on in another tutorial when I was talking about genres. This is samples. This is making sure your samples are clean and there's no noise at the front end, no noise at the far end. And this applies for whether you're using samples and creating samples to put into your module and trigger direct, or whether you're using a DAW, whether you're using Ableton, Logic, Pro Tools, whatever it is. For this, I'm going to be using Ableton because I can screen grab it and I can show you what I mean a lot clearer. So without further ado, let's have a look. I'm going to go over to my sample CDs and I'm going to grab a sample out of there. I'm going to choose a sample. If we go down and grab a loop, I think I just want to extract a sound from a loop. Let's have a listen. There you go, that'll do. I'm going to drop that on an audio channel in the arrangement view, and I want to extract that snare. That's what I want to extract there, the snare. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that sample into a drum rack that I'm going to put on the MIDI channel. So there's the drum rack that I've just placed on the on that MIDI channel. And go back here. Oops. I'm just going to make that a little bit longer just for demonstration purposes. Okay, and I want to put that on the drum rack and I want to put it on D1 because I know my snare. I know that it fires on D1. So I've got this set to 64 in my preferences. I'll just show you that. The buffer size is 64, which means obviously if you've been following this, if you know stuff about this, the response should be absolutely fantastic. As soon as you hit it, you should be hearing it. And that's what's happening. However, if you remember, I grabbed a bit at the front of the sample. You see, I have all this at the front. So what's happening is, it's playing the sample, but it sounds like it's late. And for some, if you don't have that eliminated at the front end, some people will think that there are latency issues and start looking at other things and not the sample. It's the first thing you want to check when you have the sample. So how do you get rid of it? It's dead easy. You just bring the start point right up to the front. Now the question is, where does that start point begin? It starts where the wave takes a different shape. And for me, that different shape is there. And now when I hit the drum, it's smack on. It's exactly where it should be. Make sure your samples are clean. Make sure you're starting right at the beginning of the sample. You know, there's a line that goes through. If you have your sample there where the line is up, you're going to get a click. If you have it there, you're going to get a click. If you have it there, you're going to get a click at the front of your sample. See the line that goes through the middle? You want to make sure that the line of the sample is at that point where it crosses that line. That's when it's clean. Not when it's off that line. You'll start getting clicks and pops. You want it where it's on that line which is going straight through. That's where the sample is clean. That's where you'll get no clicks. Another really important thing to do. Now it doesn't matter whether you're doing this in your module or whether you're doing it in Ableton. The same principle applies. Make sure you get that sample right at the beginning, and the place where you get the sample is where that waveform changes. As soon as it changes, that's where the sample begins. And you can do this without being on your kit. I'm showing you for demonstration purposes, but you can do this sitting in front of your computer. You can arrange and get all your sounds together just by looking at waveforms. I remember I was doing some work down in London for an artist. They brought a guy in to work on waveforms, to edit waveforms and stuff. And he used to come into the room and he'd stick his joss sticks up in his little Buddha and he'd sit there and he'd work on waveforms and making everything tidy for these records. And he didn't listen to anything. He just looked at waveforms. I found it fascinating. I was like, how is he doing that without hearing it? He's just looking at waveforms. just moving waveforms and making sure everything is cut up correctly. And the track sounded incredible when it was finished. It's just sounded so on and so tidy. It was beautiful. It was that type of track. Now, don't get me wrong, you know, there are some tracks where you want that live feel. You don't want it to be like that. But this was one of those tracks where you did. It was phenomenal. And it really opened my eyes and made me aware of how important it is, especially in electronic drumming, that you have to make sure those samples are clean and tight at the beginning. So there you go. Make sure your samples are clean. That's how you get clean samples. The cleaner your samples, the better the sound you're going to be getting. The better the sound you're getting, the more people are going to want to work with you. Simple as that. Thanks for watching. Join me again for another little look at some stuff off the kit. Another little gem that I'm going to throw at you next week. Until then, have a good time. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment if you feel the desire. It'd be much appreciated. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the like button and leave a comment as well. Also, if you aren't aware, I have a book out called The Art of E-Drumming. It shows you how to do so many things with an electronic drum kit, from the very basics, the history of it, right the way through to setting up your custom kits within your module, velocity, sensitivity, threshold, all explained, vocabulary explained. Then goes on to show you how to use it with DAWs, with a specific look at Ableton, in-depth look at some great things you can do with Ableton, triggering video, triggering lights, all kinds of stuff. The Art of E-Drumming is available now. Go and have a look, get a copy. Thanks guys, cheers for watching, and I will see you next time for another little look at some stuff off the kit. Take it easy until then. All the best. Bye-bye.